Before the ribber for this machine goes to its new home, I've got to service this carriage. This is the ribber unit for a Singer or Studio 151. This ribber unit will be used to make ribbing, to do circular knitting, all that stuff. So the main machine already has a home and this is going to join it shortly. So what I have to do is fix this carriage before it goes out the door, because this carriage has some stickiness inside, so I have to open it up and clean out, re-lube whatever I find inside. My magnetic sheet, my Japanese screwdriver, and here we go. Oh yeah, that's crusty. So we can see that old grease now that is not really greasy anymore. It's got a little bit, but it's mostly like flaky, chunky. So we have to clean all that out. Yum. 3-in-1 silicone lubricant, little lint-free wipes, just because I don't want to disassemble this whole thing, but I still want to have a light coat of lubrication on here. I'm going to use a heavy duty spray versus the 3-in-1 that's more of a cleaner. This one will not only clean, but it also lubricates. So I just want to make sure I'm getting it into places that are going to slide over one another. And then I'm going to work it back and forth a little bit to make sure it's coated. Now the underside, I'm going to do something similar. I'm just going to clean it out and then do a little more heavy duty. I have to pay special attention to this here because this has a lot of grease buildup from the back rail. Okay, now before I put these pieces back on, I am going to do a little bit of the thicker lubrication, which is a silicone gel. I'm going to put that on this main plate here to help the stitch dial turn. And a wipe down of the exterior case with some isopropyl alcohol. It seems like this staining is a little bit stubborn, so I'm going to very gently use a melamine sponge. These are just generic magic erasers, and how they work is by actually scraping off the surface of something. So you're going to be very careful to do this as little as you can. These plastics are old, but they do definitely work. Much better. Now for the bed itself, this one is in pretty good condition. I just have to give it a little scrub down here and replace the sponge bar. I stripped and refurbished the sponge bar, but it's not in here yet, so I gotta put that back. Now for staining like this, the sponges can be effective, but again, remember, this is actually like taking layers of paint down. So this is on metal, it's a painted metal on this part, and if I keep scrubbing, this will disappear, but it is going to disappear along with the paint. So be careful that you don't scrub it all the way down to the metal. Okay, I think that's about as far as I want to go because I am getting a little bit of lightning here. So yeah, I think we're gonna stop there. Now to replace the sponge bar, so I refurbished this bar. It was very flat and I put new sponge in it. And now I am going to slide it on top of the needles of the ribber. Sponge is gonna be pointing down towards the floor, metal towards the top. So now I'm just going to insert it and run it along the tops of those needles. Some ribbers have just a plastic bar that does not have to have a sponge, and some of them have a sponge bar. I have not noticed any rhyme or reason to which has which. All right, so the needles no longer kind of flop around. They're held down with some tension. So I'm gonna re-lubricate this back rail with a little bit of the gel. And then also this front rail to give it a little bit of glide as well. Time for the carriage to go back on. And I'm just using it to wipe that gel around a little bit. So let's see if it does what it is supposed to do. Yup, looking good. Always happy to see one of these go back into service.